All right, it's the NFL Week 6 spreads. Just finished watching that Thursday night game. These Thursday night games have been stinkers. We haven't gotten a good one since the Chiefs-Chargers one to open it up. And truthfully, I didn't want to put a video out before the game because I had nothing for that game. And this is a really tough week. Week 6, a lot of sharp lines, a lot of crazy games going on this week. So I just wanted to go over the card a little bit more. But we do have looks, we do have money plays, we do have leans. And we do have one game that I've already went official with. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram so you can get those plays right away. Turn those notifications on. We're going to get into that. But first game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Buccaneers are laying 8.5 points. I like the Buccaneers in this spot. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers with Kenny Pickett, they just have a lot to figure out right now. And I've been on top of this since after week 1. I saw the Buccaneers go to Dallas and play really good defense, and I saw that the offense was a little shaky. And I said, this Tampa Bay team is probably going to go to other arenas, go to other stadiums, and just really rely on their defense. They're going to depend on their defense to get stops, and the offense led by Brady is just going to do just enough to get by. The offense seems like it has a lot going on, especially at home. We see all the drama that Brady has going on, and we do have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. It just seems like Tampa Bay isn't at their best when they're at home. Of course, they had the storm. But when Tampa Bay gets on the road, we saw them lock up the Cowboys. We saw them lock up the Saints. This is another opportunity to get this Tampa Bay defense on the road, giving it all they got against a rookie quarterback who just isn't ready for them. We saw he wasn't ready against Buffalo. The Steelers are putting him in a tough scenario right now. This looks like the first year that Tomlin's going to go under 500. And I would just say that it's Tampa Bay or nothing in this spot. The spread is too high for me. And truthfully, I don't really like touching Tampa Bay games. I think they're just all over the place right now. And I don't trust them to hold up in the fourth quarter. I told you guys Tampa Bay would cover that first half against the Falcons, but they may get backdoored, and that's exactly what happened. So in this case, I don't really see the Steelers coming and backdooring them, but lean Tampa Bay, just don't trust them enough to get the job done. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the New Orleans Saints. The Bengals are laying 2.5 points, and I like the Saints in this spot. We may just go official with the Saints come Saturday. I'm going to come back around on Saturday and give out the official picks. We may just come around on the Saints, but we're going to wait to see if we can get 3. If it goes back down to 2, that's okay. But if it goes up to 3, we're probably going to have to play the Saints in this spot. The Saints are starting to find a rhythm. We're 2-0 betting against the Saints, and we did lean Saints the last 2 weeks. We didn't completely get there, but I've had a good read on the Saints team throughout the whole season, and I thought they would struggle without Sean Payton, but they're starting to find their groove a little bit on the offensive end. We saw them explode against the Seahawks. We saw them put up some points against the Vikings. I think they just needed a quarterback who was going to be serviceable. We see Andy Dalton being a lot more serviceable than Jameis Winston was coming off of an injury. We also see that they're using Taysom Hill more. So with Andy Dalton doing just enough and with Taysom Hill running the ball, making electric plays, keeping the defense on their toes, you get Alvin Kamara back. I think this Saints team can really surprise people with what they do on the offensive end. They're starting to open up on the offensive end. And we know their defense coming back from the London trip. They came out flat against the Seahawks. I think another week at home is going to bode well for them. It's going to give them the opportunity to rest up. We see that with this low total, 43, that Vegas is saying this is going to be a low-scoring game. Saints defense probably wakes up. And who are the Bengals really to come into New Orleans and win a game outright and against the spread? Like, who are they to be laying points against the Saints in New Orleans? The Bengals haven't really shown us anything this season. Yeah, they've covered some road games, but they haven't really shown us anything good this year, especially the offense. I actually think that the Bengals defense has been a more sustainable unit for them this year. They don't get as much credit as they deserve because they don't have the big names, but they've actually been more productive than their offense has, and they've kept them in a lot of games when Zach Taylor's play calling is just awful. So not two coaches that I'm super fond about in this matchup, but I do like the Saints at home, starting to get a rhythm, starting to catch a groove. Saints plus 2.5 would be the play. And just keep an eye on that. We want to see it get to 3, and we'll probably have a play on that. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. The Jaguars are plus 2.5 on the road. And I would lean with the Jags in this spot. Very tough game because I think the Colts are due to get them at some point. We see that the line is very adjusted. Vegas is starting to figure out that these two teams are real close to each other. Every time they play, Jacksonville has got them the last 6 times. So you would think that Jacksonville would just keep on owning them. But hey, the Colts are kind of due for one right now. So this is a really tough game. I would lean the Jags in this spot to continue owning them. I would lean the Jags in this spot because they have lost 2 in a row and it's time for them to get it together and win one. And I would lead Jags in this spot because the Colts, who are they to be favored? I know they're at home, but we just don't really want to be laying the points with the Colts at this point in time. So Jags plus 2.5 is the lean, but this is really a nasty game. I wouldn't want to touch this game. Next up, we got the New England Patriots at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are laying 3 points at home, and that is the first official play of the week. You got this yesterday if you follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter. Browns minus 2.5. We waited and we waited to see this Browns line drop to 2.5, and we jumped on it. You may get a chance at seeing this go back down to 2.5. I think it's going to be something that just bounces back and forth. But at 2.5, we love the Browns in this spot. Worst case scenario, they win this game by a field goal. But I really like the Browns here. Really good run offense going against a Patriots team that struggles against the run. The Patriots have a great secondary, and Belichick's always going to coach those corners up well. And we know that they can stop the passing game, but you can pound it on this Patriots team. You can run the ball, and nobody runs the ball better than Cleveland with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Jacoby Brissett, he's another quarterback who's serviceable. He's not great. He's not a playmaker, but he doesn't turn the ball over, and that's what Belichick and them are hoping for. Belichick is hoping that he can go to Cleveland and get them to make a bunch of mistakes like Baker Mayfield and them were making last year, and that the Patriots could capitalize on them. Well, this is a spot for the Browns to get revenge against the Patriots, and the Patriots are going to be running out there with a third-string quarterback or a banged-up Mac Jones. So it's just not a good spot for the Patriots. We cashed in with the Patriots last week against Detroit. We may cash in next week with the Patriots on Monday Night Football against the Bears. I like the Patriots more when they're at home. I like the Patriots more in just a more manageable spot for them, going against a Cleveland team that's a lot more talented than them. The Browns are averaging like 28. The Browns are averaging a lot of points per game. Don't quote me, but the Browns have had a lot of high-scoring games. The Browns in this spot, it reminds me a lot of when the Browns played the Steelers on Thursday night. I just think this is a more talented roster that's going to be able to dominate them at will. Give me the Browns in this spot. Love the Browns in this spot at minus 2.5. Line is all over them. At minus 3, I would still take the Browns, but just wait and see if you can get that minus 2.5 because I don't think it's going to go to 3.5 at all. Next game, we got the New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers. The Jets are plus 7. Lean Packers in this spot. The Packers usually crush teams at home when they're big favorites at home. I know they didn't do it recently against the Jets. I know they didn't, recently against the Patriots, but that's Belichick. And I know they didn't do it recently against the Giants, but that was actually in London. That wasn't a true home game. And with this Green Bay team, I think we're catching them at the lowest price you're going to catch them at minus 7. This line opened up at like minus 9. And everybody jumped on the Jets. I understand why. That's a big line. That's a big number for a Green Bay team that isn't too explosive on the offensive side. But it's a real good defense, and it's a team that still has Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day, game managing it, orchestrating the offense. And this New York Jets team to win 2 games in a row, and they caught Miami. The Jets were at home, and they caught Miami with a third-string quarterback. I don't know how sustainable that is. They played against the Steelers team that how good are the Steelers really? They're not that good. So now they have to go to Green Bay. They're playing a team that's out of conference, NFC team on the road, playing against the Packers. Green Bay, very hostile environment. And I think this is one where Green Bay, while everybody sleep on them, Green Bay can come out and dominate the Jets. I just think they can come out and dominate them. It's a good spot for the Packers. The line was heavy on the Packers. Everybody's riding this Jets train. I'll be a contrarian and say Packers minus 7 at home. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Jets. The Ravens are minus 5.5, and the Ravens have just been breaking our heart all year long. They got backdoored against the Dolphins, gave up that big lead. They choked, and then they blew it against the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. The Ravens have costed us the most money this season, but they're due. The Ravens are due, and they've been better on the road. I like the Ravens in this spot going against a New York Giants team that's coming back from London. And the New York Giants are also due. The Giants are due to not cover. The Ravens are due to cover. The Ravens, a lot more explosive offense going against a Giants team that with Daniel Jones, I don't know if he's going to be able to pick the Ravens apart. I know that Ravens defense has been suspect at times, but I don't think Daniel Jones can do enough. I think Harbaugh can scheme to stop the run, and I like the Ravens in this spot to get a big authoritative win. Yeah, Ravens in this spot. The line, I'm not too crazy about this line at -5.5, and with the Ravens breaking our heart all year, I'm not too crazy, too excited to jump on it, but the lean is Baltimore, and we may have to come back to this game, so we'll see. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are +3 at home. The only way I could look at this game would be taking the Dolphins. The Vikings have not been good ATS. I don't trust them to figure it out. Playing in Miami is very tough to play at with the weather conditions. We do know that the Dolphins are going to be running out there with a third-string quarterback, but the third-string quarterback has been serviceable. In college, he was really good, and he wasn't that bad against the Jets. People like what they were seeing out of him. I'm not no super film junkie, but he looked okay, and I think that McDaniels is going to be able to scheme up something good for him. Be able to get the O-line, some type of push, get them in some type of movement. We know that he's coming from that Shanahan offensive tree. So I think that he'll be able to figure out something against a Vikings team that really doesn't stop the run well. So how often is this quarterback really going to have to drop back and make plays on 3rd and 10? I don't think he's going to have to do that a lot of times at home. I think this is a good spot for him. Minnesota might just come to Miami and lay a dud and then get up out of there. We don't know what to expect out of a Minnesota team. Just a real inconsistent team. I think the hire of the new coach was better for the team than Zimmerman. It was better for Kirk Cousins than Zimmerman, but I don't know how much it really elevates this team. They'll make the playoffs, but I don't know if the Vikings are even going to win a playoff game this year. So the lean would be Miami +3 at home. Probably a sharp pick. I would imagine the reason why it's bouncing around from +3 to +3.5 is because the sharps are all over it. Obviously, we don't cap games just because sharp money is on them, but I can see Miami being a tricky spot this week for Minnesota. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Niners are -5. I could see the Niners winning this game, but the Falcons covering the +5. Maybe they backdoor it the same way they did against the Bucks last week. Maybe they just stick around the game the entire time and it's like a slugfest. I could kind of see it being like that. I could see these teams trading blows. I could see this game picking up and scoring because the Niners have some guys out. It all depends. For the Niners to blow out the Carolina Panthers and then have to play another East Coast game and play against the Falcons, who have been really good ATS, in a spot that is really favorable for the Falcons, and the Niners are super banged up, and the Niners are a team we love when they're dogs. We love when the Niners are dogs at home or on the road. We love when the Niners are favorites at home, but not by a ton of points. We love those type of spots with the Niners. When the Niners are on the road and they're laying points against like an inferior team, it just feels like a trap. It feels like the type of game that Shanahan usually drops. And Atlanta, with a chance to get revenge against the Niners for what happened last season, the Niners smacked them last season. I just don't know if this is the best spot to be back in the 49ers. So lean 49ers to sneak out of there with a win, but anything could happen, and I would lean Atlanta to cover that +5. Next game, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Carolina Panthers are +10, and I got nothing on this game. I can make arguments on both sides. Carolina Panthers firing their coach, benching their quarterback. They should have some type of energy, some type of motivation to go out there and win this game. I do think those things are real. But the Los Angeles Rams, usually in this spot, they tend to crush teams. We saw they were going to crush Atlanta, another team from the NFC South, at home until Atlanta backdoored that number. Is Carolina really capable of backdooring that number with P.J. Walker? I doubt it. I really want to say Rams in this spot, but I just won't underestimate what happens when a coach gets fired. And the Rams just haven't looked that great this season. Nobody's super excited to be taking the Rams at this point. The Rams couldn't cover last week against Cooper Rush. It was a great spot for the Rams, and they couldn't even get there. So this Rams team just looks really nasty, and I got nothing on this game. I'm not going to keep talking about it. Next, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. The Cardinals are -2.5 on the road, and I love this spot for Arizona. I'm not going to go official just yet, but I love this spot for Arizona. We've seen Arizona lose to the Chiefs at home, go to Vegas and win a game. Then we see them come home, lose a game to the Rams, go on the road and beat Carolina. Then we see them come home, lose to the Eagles. Now they're going on the road playing against the Seahawks. And the Cardinals are favored against the Seahawks team that has been running kind of hot lately. The Seahawks playing a lot better than people expect. They're due for a dud. They're due to come out flat. They're playing against a division opponent who, quite frankly, the Cardinals are the more talented team. They're the better team overall. No matter how you feel about Kyler Murray or Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals are the better team. And the Cardinals are really good on the road. We're seeing what they're doing. They're losing at home, and then they're winning on the road. And the Cardinals with Kyler Murray have always been better on the road. So I like Kyler Murray going into the road environment, taking care of business at Seattle. Seattle, they're due for a fall off. And another thing that I like is the Cardinals might make us sweat in this game because they did come from behind against the Raiders, and they came from behind against Carolina. So they might start out slow in this game. That can happen. The Seahawks started off hot against the Falcons. So, the Seahawks can have a lead at halftime potentially, but Arizona has shown us that they're going to fight and they're going to claw their way back into games, especially when they're on the road. And that makes me feel good because I just know that this team's not going to quit even if a couple things go in Seattle's way to start the game. So Arizona -2.5. I really love the look. We're probably going to get there on Saturday, but just keep an eye out for that one. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are -2.5. The only way I could look at this game is taking the Bills. I like the Bills in this spot. I don't know if I'm going to end up betting on this game, but I like the Bills in this spot. Vegas is actually making the Bills a favorite on the road, and a lot of people are just saying, oh, Mahomes has never been a home underdog, this, that, and the third. Well, it's a reason why Vegas is making Mahomes a home underdog in this spot. It's because they think the Bills are going to go in there and smack them. And I think the Bills are going to go over there and smack them too. I think Kansas City has shown us that they're better on the road. When they're at home, they don't cover against the Raiders. They don't cover against the Chargers. They don't look like world beaters in either of those games. Both teams that they played against pretty much lost those games more than the Chiefs won them. I mean, the Chiefs were real good in both those games. But I think the Chargers, Justin Herbert throwing that pick, and I think the Raiders going for two and, just doing Raider things. I think the Raiders and the Chargers lost those games just as much as the Chiefs won those games. So the Chiefs are doing a good job staying out of their own way. But I just think the Buffalo Bills have the better defense, and they have the more explosive offense at this point. Josh Allen making big plays down the field, where even if the Chiefs are getting a bunch of first downs and moving the chains, and they could be playing a better overall game, the Bills are going to get those big sacks. The Bills are going to get those turnovers. The Bills are going to get those deep ball touchdowns that are going to make up for the fact that they might not be playing the game as perfectly as the Chiefs may be. So I like the Bills in this spot. I think the Bills have a lot of things going their way. The line is all over the Bills. The Bills are due to have a good road game. But the fact that the Bills haven't had a good road game yet, against the Dolphins, they probably should have won that game. And against the Ravens, they ended up getting a push. I think they're due to have a good road game. The fact that they haven't is the one thing that's stopping me just a little bit. But Bills are nothing for me in this spot. Next game, Sunday Night Football. We got the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys are +6.5 right now. This line has been all over the place. The highest it's gotten to is 6.5. It was at 4.5, 5 for most of the week. It's just been all over the place, bouncing around. It's Philadelphia or nothing for me in this spot. I like the Eagles in this spot. The line did get a little high. We do like getting the best of the numbers, so if it's just going to hang around at 6.5, I don't know if I'm going to jump on it. But the Dallas Cowboys with Cooper Rush, they're due for a non-cover. This is their first time being big dogs going on the road against a team that's just flat out better than them. They were dogs against the Rams, but are the Rams just flat out better than the Cowboys? I don't know if they are. Truthfully, I don't know if they are. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they're the hottest team in the NFC right now. And they're at home. Everything's clicking on all cylinders. This is their chance to get revenge against the Cowboys. The Eagles got smacked twice against the Cowboys last year. They remember that. They're going to want to stand up in their home arena. It's Eagles or nothing for me in this spot. I don't think Cooper Rush is really going to have an answer for this Philadelphia defense. And I think that the Cowboys defense, Micah Parsons with the groin injury, and Philadelphia with their great old line, I think that they're going to be able to hold up against this Dallas defense just enough to make those scripted plays that the Eagles are so good at in the first half. I think they're going to have some success with that. And if the Eagles get an early lead in this game, the Eagles should secure the game. So lean Eagles in this spot, but the spread is a little too high for me right now. Sorry, guys, I'm over here losing my voice, but we got Monday Night Football, the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Broncos are +5. The only way I could really look in this game is the Chargers, truthfully, because the Chargers are at home. If this game was in Denver, I would be looking to take Denver, 3 points for road to home. So they're saying if Denver was at home, it'd be Denver +2. Denver at +2, I could kind of entertain that, to be honest. But Denver on the road right now, Russell Wilson, they're saying he was injured, some type of surgery, whatever the case is. The Chargers, just a way more talented roster. And the one problem that the Chargers have is coaching, but are the Broncos really going to outcoach the Chargers? No, they're not going to outcoach the Chargers. The Broncos are probably the most poorly coached team in the league right now. So the lean would be Chargers. There is value with the 5 with the Broncos. It kind of feels like a big spread or whatever, but Chargers are nothing in this spot. Not really too crazy about this game. But the Los Angeles Chargers have just been the more competent football team. So that's it for Week 6. I will be coming back on Saturday with the official picks. But as of right now, you guys know that we have locked in the Browns at -2.5. Looking at the Packers at the -7. If it's at -7.5, I just can't do it. With the Saints, we're waiting to see if we can get it to +3. At +2.5, I'm still very interested in the Saints. Ravens at -5.5. Not quite sure if we want to ride the Ravens train again, but it's a good spot for the Ravens. And Zona -2.5 is a game that I'm very intrigued with. Most likely we will be on Arizona come Sunday. So I'll have those picks out Saturday for you guys. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share the videos. Appreciate you guys always. Peace.